everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to conclude our examination of the great 80s anthology Echo of Futurepast. This is a very sad day on this channel. I was really enjoying looking at these old comics, and I know there's some clunkers in here, but just for what they were trying to do and what they succeeded at doing, this was a damn good comic on the stands in the early to mid 80s. It's I'm sad to see it go. So here we are, number 9, the last issue. It was canceled. A lot of the stories don't even finish. In fact, most of them don't. And we start off with a cover by Will Junkunts and Neil Adams, illustrating the AE35 story. We finally have a letters page, just in time for the last issue. Kind of interesting, there's a letter from Monty Beauchamp of Blab fame. Contents page. And we start off with The Damned City, story by Ricardo Barriero and art by Juan Jimenez. And this is kind of interesting, almost like a little one-shot little story. Our two heroes, Jack and Karen, who are stuck in the damn city, they're getting hungry. They've escaped their foes, but they haven't eaten anything in a while. So they're looking for food, and they find this gigantic supermarket, the Auto Supermarket. So look at this, how colorist Polly Law, she's been doing this crazy coloring, and then she really goes nuts here. As soon as they enter the supermarket, the backgrounds become supermarket circulars, like the ads for a supermarket. Look at this. This is such a weird idea. And it was just the colorist decision, Jimenez had nothing to do with the coloring on this, because this was originally in black and white. So everything's automated. They're happy as clams. They're finding everything they need. This store's got everything. But when they check out, they don't really want to check out. It's basically apocalyptic in the city. They just figure they're going to leave. And the automated teller basically says, "You are breaking the rules, and we will take all legal measures to halt this violation." And the door slams shut, and all of a sudden these robo guards come out. So they start taking them out, because basically if they fail, they're going to be basically incarcerated in the basement, probably for all time. So they basically grabbed them, and because they fired back at the robots, they're actually now sentenced to die in the pulverizing and dehydration machine. It's so weird how this early Juan Jimenez art, I would even guess it's him from, the way he draws faces later on in his career, very distinctively. This looks great though, but it's very different. Just more straight. Less, you don't really see much of a personal style. So they're about to get killed, and all of a sudden, this guy comes out of nowhere with a gas mask on. He starts shooting the robots, and he says, "Hurry, run over here." He basically rescues them. And this guy obviously has lived within the supermarket for years. He knows all the hidden tunnels and things, and he gets them outside. And he says, "Okay, I got to go back in. Could you give me a leg up?" And they're like, "What, you're going back in there?" He's like, "Yeah." And it's kind of interesting. This guy, he basically has this vendetta against the supermarket. He's been trying to take it down for years. Every time he kills some robots, they build some new ones. He tries to blow up the place, but the robots just fix it up. So he's going to figure out a way eventually. And he basically wishes them some luck. And he goes back to his one-man war. And Jack and Karen leave, and they head out. And we'll never know what happened to them. Well, we would if we had the original European comics translated. But that's all we get in America. Now we have Tippy Toe Jones, written by Lindley Farley, illustrated by Louise Mitchell once again. And this is just more nonsense. So basically he's in hell, and he meets this guy, the Enforcer. And the Enforcer basically sends him on this quest. He's got to go to the Castle of Lucifer. Tippy Toe Jones says, I just want to go home. But the Enforcer basically tells him, well, if you want to go home, you're going to have to go to Castle Lucifer. That's where the answer to your dilemma lies. So he finds himself on this yellow road. It's the yellow shit road. And the Enforcer gives him a fare thee well. And Tippy Toe Jones begins his quest. He's trudging along this road forever. And he comes to a crossroads, and he's like, ah, shit, what do I do now? And then he sees a scarecrow. And the scarecrow's kind of babbling nonsense. So as if you haven't already guessed, I guess the writer was setting up a Wizard of Oz parody thing. And I'm really glad that Tippy Toe Jones never continued, because I don't want to read that. It sounds really lame. So I guess at the end of the issue, at the end of the story, he basically says, I'm going to see Lucifer. Maybe he can get you a brain, just like the wizard, you know. The art is even crappier in this one. So I am not sad to see Tippy Toe Jones walk into the sunset. But this is nice. We get another Torpedo, and this is a beautiful one. Once again, written by Sanchez Abuli, and with new artist Jordi Bernay. Just bringing the hammer down. Look at this shit. This is so classic. This is like amazing 30s Sunday comic strip, you know, like just such classic cartooning. So this episode is called Cold as a Fish. And there's this woman in the neighborhood called Mama Tuna. She's called that because her husband owns one of the fish shops in the area. He's this little shrimpy guy, and she is flat out drop dead gorgeous. Just va-va-voom all over the place. So basically every guy in the neighborhood lusts after her, and also is like, what the hell is she doing with that little shrimp? So one day she knocks on Torpedo's door. Torpedo's hanging out with Rascal. And she says, I need your help. I've got $150. The other fish store, the rival fish store, is threatening us. And I was wondering if you could stop him. And he's all like, $150? Are you serious? You know, that's chicken feed. But you got something else I would take. And she's offended. She's like, I'm a married woman. I have a son. He's like, only one? Hey, if you play your cards right, I can bring that number right up. He's such a bastard. And then Rascal just grabs her ass. He can't control himself. And Torpedo says, get the hell out of here. Cool down. And then he grabs the woman, kind of forces himself on her, and says, oh, that's just an advance. I'll collect the rest later. This one is like you really see just what a bastard Torpedo is. So we see the other fish store that's been threatening Mama Tuna's husband's store. There is a father and his two sons, and these guys are just bastards. They're just brutal, scummy men. They're all kind of scumbags. They're like troglodytes. So Torpedo agrees to help out Mama Tuna. He really wants to get a piece of her. He punches Rascal, but only as a ruse. He says, Rascal, go down to that other fish store. Tell him that the shrimp, Mama Tuna's husband, punched you. And I'm sure those guys will just start trash talking shrimp and reveal their plans. So it works. I guess they totally brag to Rascal how they're going to beat the shit out of shrimp on Friday and burn down his shop. So Torpedo goes into the shop and he pulls a gun on Shrimpy. And he says, get out of here. Be gone for at least an hour or two. He puts on his apron and the two brothers from the other fish shop come in to shake him down. And of course it's Torpedo and he beats the shit out of these guys. It seems like the coloring is a little better on this one. Corey Adams is getting the hang of it. Still not as good as the black and white, though. So after he beats the shit out of him, I love this. He shoves fish in their mouths and says, go home to your pop. Tell him hands off. If he doesn't want to get more than some broken teeth. So it works. And then the second part of the plan, collecting the fee, he utilizes Rascal once again. Rascal basically is sent down to the fish store to tell Shrimpy that the father is still pissed off and is a little drunk. So he's like, let's go take a ride to New Jersey for a few hours until he cools down. I already made sure your wife's safe. Of course, this is just a lie so Torpedo can be alone with the wife. And he just barges into her place. And God, man, he's such a dick. He says, oh, mama, you pack a tight package. Lots of meat and potatoes here. He rips off her dress. And then he starts smacking her around because she's just crying. Yeah, obviously, she doesn't like this guy. And Torpedo gets mad. And he just leaves. He's just like, I put my ass on the line for you. And all I get is this sob sister routine. I shall let that guy rip your husband's face off. So then a couple days later, Torpedo's staking out a hit. And all of a sudden, in the alley, it's Mama Tuna's husband and the little son. And he says, excuse me, Mr. Torelli, Senor Torelli. I just wanted my son to meet you and to thank you for everything you did for my family. And Torpedo reveals that he had a wife taken from him just a year ago. And I guess she was killed in the electric chair. So as he walks away, the father tells the son, that man lives a very strange life, but he helped your father incredibly. When you grow up, I want you to be as fair and good as him. Sure, Dad, I'll try. Such a great, ironic ending for a Torpedo story. Because that's the last person you want your son to grow up to be. And here we go. Not the last chapter of AE35, just the last we'll ever read. We'll never find out how this crazy story ends. Once again, story, Tim Ryan, art, William Junkins and Neil Adams. And coloring by Arthur Suidam. So basically, we're with that, let me get her name real quick. I forgot her name already. Isabel. So Isabel is trying to find who stole the AE35 from her. And kind of is, her trail leads her to this that nuke grid thing where the aliens from Sis are gonna mess with the nuke grid. She has a flashback to when she was a little girl, and her uncle, who he's the guy who invented the A35, years later. And while she's lost in thought, this guy comes behind her with a gun. Isabel takes him out. And this guy says, I'm on your side. Humans, we can't let the aliens take over. So he's another one who thinks that the aliens are actually aliens from outer space. And then all of a sudden, the aliens show up from Sis in these crazy helicopters. For some reason, the whole time, they're blasting commercials for Sis products. The alien shock troops descend, and they are just mowing down the guys who work here. And also, their dolphin allies are helping out. I guess the nuke grid is underwater. So these guys are well-trained. And they quickly penetrate the silos. And they disarm the nuclear warheads in just minutes. So Isabel makes her way to the dome. It's the dome housing the microgenic relays, the power of the ComNet. That's basically the internet. It's kind of amazing with all the science fiction books out there. Not many of them predicted the internet at all. In fact, I don't know if anyone did. This is the closest I've ever seen of someone kind of predicting, what the internet might be like, even though it's not very long on the details. And then the aliens take off, and she's very confused because they didn't even try to take the dome and, take over the ComNet. And then she realizes that they don't have the A35. And she's like, well, I got to figure out who does. And it looks like I'll have to go to BioWorld. That's going to be the best place to start. And to be continued. And that's all we'll ever know about A35. We have a coming attraction for the next issue. And this is just continuing all the other stories. It does say that at the last minute, they're like, hold on, guys, the damn city story's not going to be there. We're going to have an article with photos and sketches by Neil Adams of the new film From Beyond that Neil Adams created original designs for. That sounds kind of interesting, but I'd rather have a damn city episode. They also mentioned in the letter pages that in number 12, if that ever came out, Arthur Suydam was going to have a new series begin. So it makes the sting even more bitter that this comic was canceled, because we could have gotten some more Arthur Suydams if we waited a few issues. So there you go, guys. The end of an era. Okay, I'm being a little over dramatic. Echo Futurepast, pretty damn good anthology. And I'm always sad about anthologies. They always end so quickly. Just a handful of them last more than 5 issues for the most part, or 10 at best. And but my whole life I've been in love with them. I bought every anthology that came out, and I usually had my heart broken pretty quickly. So I hope you enjoyed looking at these with me. I really liked checking these out again. And I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.